Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and here we are in World of Tanks Blitz Reforged version 2. Today we're going to be doing an interesting video. I'm going to be doing a T-34-3 tank review in Reforged. The reason why is because I want you guys to let me know how you like this video compared to my normal tank reviews. Whether we like Reforged or not, this version of the game will eventually become a reality for everyone. And whether you decide to quit or keep playing is obviously up to you. But I wanted to do a bit of an interesting video idea where I'm going to do a tank review on Reforged. I want you guys to let me know how this review feels versus the normal Blitz content that we have in the current game. If you like the review more, if you think it's worse due to the changes of Reforged, let me know in the comments. So with that being said, as I said, today we're doing a T-34-3 review. And the reason why is there's actually a very interesting change for this vehicle in Reforged. We can see the WZ-122TM, T-34-2, Type 59, and O-47, all Tier 8 Chinese mediums. Yes, the O-47 is now classified as a Chinese tank. But what's interesting is that the T-34-3 is not here. It's a Tier 8 Chinese medium, Droodles. Where the heck is it? Well, if we make our way over to the Chinese tech tree, and we go over to the mediums, you'll see there's the T-34-2 and there's the T-34-3. However, it is now a Tier 9. It's the same tier as the WZ-120. And both vehicles are actually pretty similar. The WZ-120, as you'll notice, has 2,741 DPM. It's got 280 mils of heat pen. However, it actually is more, 316 due to calibrated shells being equipped. It has pretty good overall armor, 194 on the turret, 108 on the hull. But now we also have the T-34-3. And we can take a look at this vehicle, which actually has about the same DPM. And it has more turret armor, and it has more hull armor. So it's a more armored WZ-120. And it has a really dangerous gun. The only thing that really needs to be buffed is the pen. It only has 305 heat right now, which is honestly pretty dang bad. Now, the equipment loadout is pretty standard. We've got calibrated shells, enhanced gun laying drive, and refined gun. We are running defense system, which gives you better overall survivability from getting an ammo rack. We're running extra HP, which is a 4% buff. And we have power drink, which gives you 3% faster turn rate, 3% higher engine power, 3% wider view range, hull turn rate, better dispersion and overall aiming time, plus DPM, so kind of huge. Running view range, and combat control unit is a massive buff. You have two options here, really. You can either run better speed. This vehicle can reach a top speed of 53, reverse at 22, with a pretty solid power to weight ratio, or you can run combat control unit. And this gives you much better DPM, 83 more damage per minute. It gives you better mobility still. Not a huge buff to your mobility, but definitely a buff. But that hull traverse rate and all these other changes are rather huge. Now, whether you'd rather have the mobility or DPM, that one's up to you. Personally, I think that having these two options next to each other is not the best idea. I think that it's a bit too hard of a decision to make, and mobility should more be against engine power or top speed. I think those should be the options there. But here we are in the T-34-3, and we're going to see just exactly what we can do. Now, I'm using Duncan as my commander. Cole gives you a 10% speed boost overall in top speed and when it comes to acceleration, and he also gives you 12% more damage per minute when you track someone. This commander gives me better... That was a weird noise that came out of my tank there. This commander gives me better damage per minute, 6% flat DPM boost, and it gives me better damage output, 10% extra damage every third shot I pen, which is really dang sweet. Now we can see the T-34-3 is not the fastest tank, and that is because it sacrifices the mobility for its better armor, and honestly, crazy aiming time. Wait until you see how fast this tank aims in. It's actually kind of wild. We have the enemy WZ-132A, and you'll notice this vehicle's gun depression, it's not great. I think it's only 5 degrees. It might be 6, but it feels like 5. Either way, we got one shell into that player. Can't high explosive, but there you go. Another nice 400 damage shell. That DPM feels absolutely fantastic, and we're going to aim it on that 30 WZ. Ooh, nice high explosive with Duncan's ability rolling 540, which feels fantastic, I have to be honest. There you go. Another nice shell into that 59 pattern. The aiming time this vehicle features is honestly insane. Like, this is the fastest aiming time I've ever seen. It's a little bit ridiculous. So the WZ is still alive. T-30's in the back. We have this WZ right here. Oof. Nice 580 high explosive again, using that big ability here. We're going to aim in on this player again. That DPM feels so nice. There you go. 476. We are already up to 3,300 damage in this game. Our T-30 misses, but we'll aim in the shell and get the clear. Alright, well that leaves us with the T-30, which is obviously a super dangerous tank. Don't necessarily want to be shot by the T-30. Wow, that was tragic. Now, something you'll notice about Reforged is that you have an unlimited amount of AP ammo, which is actually pretty nice. And with this tank, because you have so many premium shells, it's not like you ever have to worry. But you also have to get used to loading gold because of the fact, well, this tank doesn't have the highest pen. Now, something that I do want to test is, can we pen the T-30 through the gun mail? It says we can, but obviously that's a error in the armor highlighting. Sometimes Wargaming doesn't do the best job on getting armor highlighting right, and I didn't think that would be a pen. Now we have an actual player right here in the AMX 5120. They still have full health as well, so we got to be a little cautious. By the way, this tank is a pretty solid chunk of health, 1,748. Not bad. That aiming time is just crazy. So the AMX right now is shooting, and that means, realistically, I can get a nice shell into the side of his tank. There you go. Nice 411 damage, and we can move up. Now, we have more DPM than the AMX, and even though that vehicle does have a clip, at the end of the day, it's only 380 damage, and not really enough to scare me. There you go, another nice shot into the AMX. And I feel like face-hugging is a very viable solution here. There you go, 330 damage, and with the AMX being such a tall vehicle, this guy has no clue what to do. Alright, let's get another nice shot. 283, that's pretty tragic, but doesn't really matter too much. This guy is spending so much time trying to shoot us, and he does get the full clip out, but in return, we now have Duncan's ability. We have a 400 damage shot to hit, and I would say we have a pretty high chance of rolling 400. So there you go. That was a really solid game for the T-34-3. 6,600 damage dealt, placing us easily top on that team, and even acing the vehicle, earning me 140,000 credits from the ace alone. That is 311,000 credits earned. And if we take a look at the stats page, we can see that, well, this is a pretty solid game. 6,600 damage. Pretty easy. The enemy AMX did pretty good as well. 4,400. So now, if we back off, let's try a different loadout for this tank. Let's go for all mobility, all right? Instead of using Duncan, let's use Cole, which gives us that 10% movement speed buff. Not only that, but then we're going to put on our turbocharged engine, which increases our top speed by an additional 3 kilometers per hour. This is going to allow our tank to be much more mobile, and I'm interested to see how it feels when driving this tank with this level of mobility versus driving it with the different commander and different equipment. Now, from experience, I can tell you that you're a lot quicker when running more mobility, and I mean a lot quicker. You're going to notice, I would say, a 15% speed difference, and that's kind of huge. 15% is absolutely massive. It takes the T-34-3 from what was a pretty average vehicle in its mobility to a very, very fast tank. So we found another match, and the game is loading us in. We have a Tortoise up against us, 752. They do have two WZ-132As and an AMX-30. Oh, and they have a Skoda T50s. They got 4 mediums. It's definitely something to keep in mind, but let's see how this mobility feels on this map. We should be okay here. Even uphill, we can see that I'm definitely a lot quicker. We're already up to 40 kilometers per hour. It's definitely a big noticeable difference. We're up to 50 kilometers per hour now. It's quick. Now, we do have support from our team, but not a crazy amount. Let's aim it on that WZ. Oof. That alpha damage and aiming time just feels so darn nice. We have these players over here. Actually, the entire enemy team is heading over to this flank of the map. Okay, let's move up. We got that mobility for a reason, so let's use it. Get a nice shot into the enemy WZ. And we also get that big reverse speed buff, as you'll notice. Reverse speed is a very important value, and if you're able to take advantage of it, it will help you out. So, there you go. Nice shot into the enemy WZ, clearing that player from the game. We have the Skoda, who's trying to clear our WZ out as well. Let's get a nice shell, and there you go. That's a tracking shot. As I said, this tank gets more damage per minute when you do track the enemy. So we're going to try and get another tracking shell. Unfortunately, that one does not track the Skoda, but it's fine. We're just going to face hug this player. We actually broke their track by ramming into them, which still gave me the DPM boost. You don't have to shoot their track. If you actually ram a player and still end up breaking their track, it will give you that DPM boost. You can see my reload there for a second was 6.8, which is kind of wild. There's that crazy good aiming time once again. Easy shell into that Kampf Panzer 70. Looks like this player actually wants to fight me, which I don't know how I feel about that. Let's aim in another shell in that KPZ right into the weak spot. 430 damage. We're up to 3,200 so far. Ooh, don't want to get snappered. All right, let's aim in again. There you go. Nice 402. We're up to 3,600 already. While DPM is important, the mobility has definitely been quite nice in this game. It's got another nice shot in the Kampf Panzer. And I'm hoping that we can kind of just squeeze past them. Oh, no, 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 no. 369. That's not good. All right, reloading again. We got 5 seconds left. And then we can hopefully take this KPZ out of the battle. Easy. All right, not too bad. We have the enemy WZ right in front of us. And I've got an interesting dilemma here, because I'm going to load high explosive, but the question was, do I load high explosive, or do I track this guy and get that 12% DPM boost? And obviously, I think loading high explosive is the better option, but there you go. Oof. See, now that one didn't go the way I wanted it to. Let's back up so the WZ can't hit me. And with a high explosive, we have 500 average damage, so there you go. Easy clear into that player. At this point, it is a 2 versus 3. We have our full health T-30 in the spawn. We have the AMX right over here. So we're going to aim in on this AMX. We're going to load in a high explosive on its rear. Oof. Max roll, 625 damage. Hopefully our T-30 is able to get that clear. Nice. T-30 does get the clear. We have the enemy Tortoise right in front. And unfortunately, this tank does not have a lot of pen. Tortoise does hit me. Alright, we got to be a little careful about this Tortoise, because while I do feature good DPM, that tank obviously has more, and is a big threat. So let's aim it on that Tortoise again. There you go. Nice 398. Now, this is where the tracking is kind of useless on this tank. I mean, yeah, you have the ability to track and deal damage if you hit the track, but unfortunately, it's not going to do all too much right now. I'm just going to aim it on that Tortoise. I don't even care if I get pen, because I can just cut right through your... Maybe not. By the way, did that Tortoise have 440 alpha? Huh. Did they rebalance the Tortoise or something? Because I'm pretty sure that gun doesn't deal 440 normally. There you go. Nice 340. Oh, you know what? It was probably Duncan's ability. That's what it was. It was Duncan's ability. I was like, the Tortoise does not have that much alpha. There you go. Easy clear into the Tortoise. And that leaves us with an Object 752 that is left. So this is where that better mobility is going to feel nice, right? We're able to get to that 752 faster, which gives me the ability to deal potentially more damage. Now, the T-34-3 is still not a very fast tank, and unfortunately, as you saw, our accuracy did not go exactly where we want. This tank has very, very poor levels of pen, which is a little bit unfortunate, but still get a nice shot into that 752. And, oh, it looks like we can actually high explosive the rear of this player, so I'm hoping that... There you go. Nice high explosive into the 752 for 490 damage. That brings us 6 kills, 8,800 damage dealt, and obviously an ace, a Pools medal. We got just about every single award you could humanly get, and that earned us a whopping 546,000 credits. Credits are easier to earn on Reforged, I will be completely real there. So this was a pretty chill experience. Now, obviously, these are bots we were fighting. If you think that these are real players, I'm not sure what to tell you. The only person that was real is that enemy Tortoise here. All these other players are bots. But still, not a bad experience. As you can see, the gameplay of Reforged is definitely better. There are still things I don't love. The shell traces are laggy, and they need to fix that. The aiming itself is not great. It's a bit off, right? If you have a little bump that makes your aiming circle really mess around, it needs to be smoother. And the biggest problem with the aiming is the hit skims. When you're aiming it on an opponent, it's not as red, it's not as clear as it should be on what's a pen and what's not. Like aiming it on that Tortoise, it was very hard to tell if it was a pen or not. The current Blitz does it way better. Wargaming needs to work on that. But overall, I think this was a fun video, and I want you guys to let me know in the comments what you think. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!